What up? What up? What up? Welcome back to TBD, the radio show presents The State of Trump's Presidency, Part 2. I hope you enjoyed the first part of this discussion between Reggie and Mugman. Very spirited, very informative debate. And it was long enough that I felt that we should split this into two. Now, this part 2 will be a lot shorter than part 1, but still very impactful. So sit back, relax, grab your favorite Yamin, and enjoy.
Let's jump into the Trump presidency. I mean, you got the shirt, you got the background, you got the video.
This is the deal. I didn't vote for Trump in 2016. I didn't vote for Hillary either. I voted for Johnson. That's the truth, right? I voted for Johnson. I voted for Johnson because it was a libertarian party, right? It was a protest vote, right? Obviously Johnson had no chance of winning whatsoever, but nevertheless, I voted for Johnson. Trump became president, 16, and I was like, wow, I like our country under his leadership. Then I voted for Trump in 2020, and we know what happened there. And I voted for Trump in 24. The beauty of this term is that he's not holding back. He's not holding back any punches because the country spoke. The country spoke in 2020. The country spoke in 2024. And I will say that the biggest impact thus far is the cultural war. Yes. The tariffs, don't know yet. I don't know yet. I know what the plan is. I know the objective is to get us back producing and to rectify some of these deals, these tariff deals we have with other countries, to correct those and for us to produce our own, because we are buying, China, Taiwan, Vietnam, all of these other countries, Mexico, they're producing our goods. And these companies set up operations in these other countries. The biggest impact Trump has made culturally. All right. You voted for Kamala and Tim Walz, correct?
I did, yes.
Okay. And I'm pretty sure the other co-hosts also did. Tim Walz was running as vice president. He was the governor of Minnesota, right? He passed Executive Order 23-03, which is the right for children to get sex changes, even if the parent is against it. Not only could the child get sex changes, the child can run away from home, from another state, come to Minnesota, and under Executive Order 23-03, that child could get state support to get gender-affirming care and prevent the parents in the child's state to come and collect their child. Now, my question 2 weeks ago that I put, it was one of my questions on the list, was, why would you vote for a man that wants children to be able to get sex changes? Not only does he want it, but he puts it into action. He passes legislation in 2023. He passed legislation for children to get sex changes. Why would anyone vote for that? What kind of man would vote for a man to say, wait, children should get sex changes even if the parent is opposed to it. If the parent is not in agreement, should that child be allowed to get gender-affirming care paid for by the taxpayers of Minnesota? That's absurd. That's embarrassing. And anyone who condones that should come, they have to look at themselves in the mirror and say to themselves, what am I supporting by voting for this man? And guess what? I know he's vice president, but it matters. Why does it matter? Because we've seen it throughout history. If the president get taken out, the vice president is in charge. And not only that, but Kamala won on record for saying she wants inmates to get sex changes, and she wants you, Reggie. She wants Reggie to pay for it.
Hey, real quick. This content is sponsored by W Energy Drink. Tired of energy drinks that leave you feeling jittery or crashing later? Well, W Energy is here to revolutionize your energy game. And don't forget to use our promo code TBD the radio show for 10% off your purchase. Remember, W, fuel your fire and own the day. Now let's get back to the video.
All right, so since you so passionately pointed at me, right? I want us to have an exercise in fact versus fiction, right? So what you're saying is facts, right? What you're saying is facts, and just to be clear, I wasn't aware of the executive order, but you are 100% correct, right? You're 100,000% correct. So, but you are aware that during the Trump administration, they passed a law funding sex changes for inmates. During the Trump administration, you do understand that, right? So,
no.
So I mean, so our listeners can Google it. But during the Trump administration, federal law gave opportunity for people to have gender-affirming care, inmates to have gender-affirming care during the Trump administration.
Let me guess, California.
Why would you vote for that, bro?
Let me guess, California.
No, federal, not California. We ain't talking about Tim Walz. We're talking about Donald Trump. We're talking about Donald Trump. So
you got to show me. I got to see this.
Listen, I'm gonna try to pull it up real quick, but they're federal guidelines. The guidelines that you are talking about from Kamala Harris were already existing. They were under the Trump guidelines. Now, I think it's important to make sure that we are talking about fact versus fiction, because what you're saying is facts, but also the law came under Trump's watch, so we can condemn, and I have a general kind of understanding about gender affirming care, all of those things. To me, I think that I'm not gonna agree, and I hope you don't either. I'm not gonna agree with a politician's take on everything. Right? I'm not. I'm gonna pick the person that best represents the values as a whole that I think affects me, affects my people. Am I gonna agree with everything that a politician said? That's not logical. So if you're saying, well, why would you vote for that? I mean, it may be that, or it may be something else that I don't agree with. I would think you seem like a sensible guy. I'm gonna say you probably don't agree with everything that Trump says. That would just be then we were gonna call you a cuck, right? We're gonna say, come on, bro, can't nobody agree with everything, right? So it's going, and that's why I said in the beginning, some things I might be conservative about, I might be liberal about, but I ain't just one way. Like I can't. That ain't life. That definitely ain't life for black people, right? So it's gonna be some shit that I don't agree with. It's just definitely gonna be some shit that I don't agree with. But I think it's important to mention that during Trump's administration is when the law, and I'm only talking about federal inmates, have the ability to get gender-affirming care during Trump's administration. Now, to be fair, let me just make sure, because I like to make sure that I give a fair take. To be fair, during Trump's administration, no one utilized that law. During Biden's administration, I believe there were 2 people that utilized that statute of the law. Now, bro, when we start talking about these issues that people are so passionate about, we passionate about 2 people? Come on, bro. Come on, bro. Like seriously, we spend like 2 people, and then like gender affirming care doesn't mean sex change. It could be hormone therapy. It could mean a whole lot of things, right? Doesn't mean that they chop it. Doesn't mean anything, right? But to be fair, it came under Trump. No one utilized it, right? And that could be, you know what? Trump and his folks like, yeah, we had to follow. We gonna follow the law, but we ain't fucking with that shit, right? Could have been because 2 people. And I believe that's the number. And a lot of these kind of like passionate debates be shit on the margin. Like shit on the margin. Like we talk about like, transgenders in sports. You'd be like, wow, that's a major problem. Like what this it's a major problem, right? But then you look at the numbers and it says that it was 10 transgender athletes out of 15,000. What are we talking about? And then the 10, nowhere in any of the major sports. We're talking about fucking badminton. Like we talking about badminton. Like, come on, bro. I feel like these things.
It's a cultural. No, it's a cultural victory. No, it's a cultural victory. It's a cultural victory.
Is it? That's a victory.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So was it a victory during Trump's administration? Because Trump has said, he don't have no problems with gays and transgenders. He say it. He say it. His folks be like, but he say it, right? He's a politician, right? He's supposed to. But come on, man. Like, but I kind of want to bring it back to Trump presidency, right? So I know you was questioning like, why would I vote for him? So I think that Trump during his presidency so far, he has shown that he has people around him that actually know what they're doing, right? I think his first presidency, he ain't had nobody around him that really knew what he was doing, right? To be able to really kind of push forth his agenda. His agenda right now is to do whatever the fuck I want. And if you see, like, Trump is signing executive orders when executive orders expire when the president leaves office, right? So all of these so-called victories are all temporary. In order for things to be permanent law, it needs to be passed through Congress, and then the president signs it into law, right? I think it's definitely telling that Trump is not trying to pass law, considering he has the House and the Senate. Government is not divided, right? Republicans control everything, so Trump can make permanent changes, right? But I don't think that it's probably 2 things. I think Trump ultimately wants the credit, right? So if I sign it, I'm gonna get the credit, right? I think he's a narcissist, right? He wants the credit, right? But if we're talking about if I'm MAGA or I'm somebody that's a Trump supporter, why are you not passing laws to get things actually done? Why is he not doing that? We has control. But when you go to today, there was a vote in the House for a continuing resolution for the new budget. Republicans have control of the House and the Senate. They couldn't pass the bill. This y'all got. They couldn't pass the bill. And I think that's going to be the story of Trump's presidency. I think that he does have people around him that know how to navigate through this system, right? I think his disregard for the law is not going to fly. I think that when you talk about how he's dealing with the tariffs, when we talk about the tariffs, you do understand that we're currently operating on Trump's tariffs, right? Trump signed these current tariffs into law. He got up there and said, "This is the most beautiful tariff deal ever." But this is Trump. He's a performer. This is the most beautiful tariff deal ever. 4 years later it's trash. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that makes me kind of look at Trump sideways. Like you going around saying America is losing. A part of them losing is because of you. Because you signed these tariffs into law. You did. So you ain't gonna take no credit for that. You're gonna say it's Biden's fault, it's Biden's fault, it's Biden's fault, this person's fault, that person's fault. But we all have the record. We all have the record. So whatever's going on with the tariffs, I mean, listen, I'm not a tariff expert, right? I do think that we should make an attempt to bring jobs back to the United States. I do, but you got a t-shirt on. You want that t-shirt to cost $50? Because you do know that the prices and the currency is going to drive prices up, right? I mean, it's just simple math, right? Because we ain't getting Chinese slave labor. Sorry, we ain't, right? We not. So you have to pay that check. You have to pay them bennies, you have to pay them benefits. The price is going up. Is that really going to help us as a country overall? And a couple other things about Trump that I think is just kind of like interesting, right? Like Trump goes to the Middle East this week, right? He wants to accept a $400 million plane from Qatar, right? Come on, bro. What we talking about? Now, I heard people from MAGA say, oh, well, we accepted the Statue of Liberty. Once again, in order to accept a gift from a foreign nation, it needs to be a congressional hearing, and then the Congress decides if we can accept this gift. One of the reasons why is how are we going to maintain this gift over time, right? The Statue of Liberty, it was, all right, we need to maintain the land. We need to maintain upkeep of it. So we need to build this in the budget so the next person don't say, oh, that's not important. So the shit just fall apart, right? So there is a pathway for Trump to be able to accept a private jet, which is ridiculous, right? It's ridiculous for him to accept a private jet, right? But there is a pathway. He has the entire Congress, but he knows that shit ain't flying. And I think that Trump is just like throwing stuff against the wall to see if it sticks. But we think about when Trump was in office, he hated the Muslims, right? He said he in a debate, he said, Hillary, you accept the money from Qatar. Come on, bro. We got the record, man. Like we got the record. I think a lot of times MAGA just forgets the stuff that Trump does, the stuff that he says, and I get it. That's y'all guy, right? But I like to live in reality. I don't think Trump is 1,000% wrong on everything, but Trump is just not. He's just not. He's a DEI hire. He's a DEI hire. He's a DEI hire. Like he is an unqualified, unarticulate. He doesn't have the credentials. He is a DEI hire, and he's a mediocre white guy in a line of mediocre white guys. Because I'm sure you'd agree that George Bush II was a mediocre white guy, right? C minus person at best. I mean, so that's DI. Like so, but I think Trump so far, his presidency has been terrible. I think it's been entertaining. I think it's actually made people kind of start to understand how the system works. But I do think that how he's going about it is the only way that he can, because nobody's rolling with that. Nobody's rolling with that. And when you got the whole government under your flag and you still can't get shit done, that means the shit that you want done ain't popular. It ain't flying. So, I mean, you might have some other reasons besides vibes, but I don't see anything that Trump, prices aren't down. Gas prices aren't down. He said he was going to end the war in Gaza in 24 hours. It's been 5 months. He said he was going to end the war in Russia. They still bombing each other. So you're not even securing the things that you said you could do. But I didn't expect that from Trump. Y'all should be mad. Y'all should be mad that Trump would even say something like, come on, man, we're talking about foreign war. You gonna end it? Like, and anybody thought that was even logical was just like, come on, bro. You can't, I feel like you can't even be mad at that. Like you can't be mad at that. But people were saying that, oh, Biden's incompetent when it comes to Gaza and Israel and this and that. And Trump is continuing to do absolutely nothing. So you gotta give me something more than vibes, bro. Like how has your life gotten better under Trump? He said it was going to be great, and I ain't vote for him, but I'll accept great. I'll accept great if he got it coming.
Yeah, I do admit the wars. He made a promise. I think it was the Ukrainian war would end before. He said in the interview he would. Yeah, before he said before it all. Right, I agree. Yes, he did say that. I don't believe we've had enough time yet, but I do know this. I know he's the most qualified president in my lifetime to go to swim upstream to accomplish and push policies that will benefit America. I haven't seen another president do it like him in my lifetime. Now, like I said, I didn't vote for him in 2016, but I voted for him in 2020. Why? Because I saw what he brought to the table. I had nothing to go by in 2016. He was never president. He is not a politician. So I understand you don't like his personality or his vibe. I get that. That's fine. Right? I had a father in my life. Right? Guess what? My father and Trump, very simple. I might say they're the same person, as a matter of fact. So therefore, I'm not offended when he says things that you might be offended by. Or the other brothers on TBD radio show might be offended by. Man up. Suck it up. Don't be offended. Get busy. Go to work. Right? I don't tell somebody to dig a ditch. I show them I can dig the ditch. If they can't do it themselves, I can dig it. I don't need you. Now while we at it, dig this fucking ditch.
I'm offended of his incompetence. Is offensive to me.
Guess what? We have never seen. Matter of fact, he passed more executive orders than Franklin Delano Roosevelt. He broke the record for the most executive orders. And like you said, he didn't pass it into law, right? What has it been? 130 days? What has it been? 130 days, right? I guarantee you, he won't pull no punches this term. What's to stop him? He not pulling punches. At this point, at this age, his second term, he wants to go down in history as arguably the best president in American history. You do agree with that? And I know one thing: when he has his mindset on something, he does not wait and he does not give up, and that is a very admirable quality. I see myself. I have that same quality. When I lock in on something, and I said, and I know as a fact, I'm gonna get it done. I don't care what you throw at me. You can lock me up. You can tarnish my image. You can try to cancel me. Guess what? It won't do nothing. All you're going to do is make me stronger.
The only thing Trump wants to do is have photos of him signing a blank piece of paper. Like, that's it, bro. Like none of this stuff is going to be in law. All this stuff is challenged in court. Like, the Supreme Court just threw out his birthright citizen executive order. It was trash from the beginning. It was a reason why they brought it to the Supreme Court, because they wanted to test whether or not a lower level judge can put a stop to a president's executive order. It got thrown out. It was trash. We all know if you're born here, you're a fucking citizen. Like, that's just optics. Like, it's optics. You're not even securing victories. Like, we can't even really say he secured a victory. We can say that Trump has disregarded the law. We can say he's disregarded federal judges, but he hasn't really scored any victories. Even if you talk about the tariff, like, so you go from this weird number of 145%, and now it's 30%. That's I mean, is that a win? It ain't even permanent. It's only for 90 days. I mean, it's not. So you gotta listen. And I'm gonna tell you this, and I feel like this 100%. If Trump was doing some shit that I felt like was some real shit that actually moved the needle, made my life better, your life better, where it's at? It's been the stock market then crumbled. It did rebound, but I saw it in real time how my 401k lost like $15,000. I seen it. I'm like, damn, what the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So yeah, I'm happy it rebounded, but I don't see the wins. Like I see the, let me get my base riled up. But I don't see the wins. And the last thing I just want to say about Trump, I just think Trump is just the height of like hypocrisy, right? I mean, and I mentioned how he was talking about Hillary Clinton receiving money from these Middle Eastern countries. And he specifically mentioned Qatar, right? He's like, stop taking money from Qatar, right?
Right.
Now you want to accept money and accept a jet, right? That it's a $400 million jet. They said it would take twice as much money to strip it down and build it back up to be Air Force One ready. So we're talking about now we got to spend an extra $1 billion to make this plane usable. But you're talking about Hillary Clinton receiving money from Qatar. Like, but also you're jailing and deporting people who you say were supporting Hamas. They were protesting, supporting Hamas. Who's Hamas' biggest supporters? Qatar. What we talking about, bro? Like what we talking? And the document, like Trump had them a part of the Muslim ban, and he said specifically, Qatar funds Hamas. They fund Hezbollah, but because they got a check, and they want to give my man a shiny plane, we good now. Come on, bro. That can't be how we operate, and that's my problem with Trump. That's my problem with Trump. That's the type of stuff that's like, come on, bro. Like, you cannot be that contradictory to have a Muslim ban on this particular country and say this particular country supports terrorism, but you deport students because they protest during the time you weren't even in office. Like, how you gonna deport somebody from shit that happened? You weren't even in office. Come on now. That's crazy. But you're gonna accept money from this government that you say funds terrorists, but you're gonna deport a student that just says, "Oh, it's fucked up. What's going on over there?" Come on, man. You gotta do better, bro. You gotta do better, man.
Yes, I'm just saying I appreciate you having me on TPD the radio show. I enjoyed it. I came into it with a different mindset than what actually played out, and it's because Reggie is not as he's not this left wing
Weirdo.
Social. He's not this left wing socialist guy. He's a cool guy. I actually like him. I respect him. Some of the things that we talked about, it's like, even though we were debating on it, it was like, I feel like we agreed. It's like we were saying the same thing, but it was it's kind of like the DEI and the Black Lives Matter. It's like you agree that equality is good, but when it becomes this banner, it becomes a different animal. It's a different machine. Like Black Lives Matter, right? You agree with that sentiment. Black lives do matter. Of course they matter. But then the organization.
I appreciated the conversation. I'm happy that my man was able to come on here and voice his opinion, voice his views. I think it's always important to have people that have alternative views, so we can actually kind of do what we did and find some common ground. So I mean, I would love to have him back on so we can further discuss some things that we weren't able to discuss. But I think it's productive, for us really as Black people and as Black men to be politically motivated, to be politically conscious, and to actually care about the things that are happening in the background that affects us and affects our folk. So great conversation, great start. I'm looking forward to bringing him back on so we can do it again. I think it was definitely a great spirited conversation. And I'm looking forward to having more.
Definitely. It was a wonderful discussion. I don't see it as a debate. So with that being said, I want to thank you, Reggie, my brother, for always stepping up to the plate. You know what I mean? Always representing and in an unapologetic approach, right? Very informative, very articulate, and very succinct with your points. I also want to thank Mugg for taking the time out to hop on to have this discussion. And despite having a different idea of what it was, he still stayed and still participated all the way out until his battery died. Look forward to part 2 of this. On behalf of myself, my co-host Reggie, B3 exclamation point. We appreciate y'all and stay tuned for more, man. We got more in store for y'all. And as always, it's all TBD.
All TBD. Peace.
Thank you for watching this video. Please remember to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell.